what's everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys, this is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. Hey everybody, it's Thursday. It's the 24th of March. And we had a great conversation the last episode we did on the 22nd. Did we keep this rolling for the 24th? Abso-freaking-lutely, man. I'm loving these conversations, and you're going to love this one, too. Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsors first, Phoenix Fitness. Yes, it's March. You guys know I love to go to the concerts as much as possible, and I love going to mosh pits, and you know I'm never going to jump out of one once I'm in one. It's like I'm in there, I'm like, I'm not stopping, motherfuckers, because I'm just that crazy. So, in order to be able to do stuff like that and constantly be able to do stuff and have the energy and have the want, have the ability and be as, like in shape as possible to do all that stuff, I hit the gym all the time, like 2 hours a day pretty much. Always doing cardio, lifting weights, all that kind of stuff. So I'm putting in the work to make sure this is happening. But for myself, I have to make sure that I recover right and prepare right as well to make sure that I achieve those fitness goals. And you are probably going to have those fitness goals. Well, not the same ones that I do. Everyone's different. Everyone is going after different things. Maybe you're going after stuff in a different sport. Maybe it's just to, lose some weight, whatever it might be, to help achieve those fitness goals when it comes to, preparing and recovering right. That's where Phoenix Fitness comes in with different supplements for you. They have different pre-workouts, both stim and stim-free stuff. Stim-free means stimulant-free. I use that kind of stuff because I have enough energy as it is. I don't need, extra, caffeine going on. So I'm like, shaky. I don't need that. They have different BCAA recovery compounds to help you absorb nutrients in your muscle and in your body to help you recover right after your workout. Different protein blends for your morning, nighttime, and directly after your workout to help you build muscle. Creatine help you build muscle as well. Different multivitamins, anything you need to help achieve your fitness goals, Phoenix Fitness has for you. So our listeners get 15% off using the code MSOCD at FNXFit.com. Link description of the podcast below. Thank you, Phoenix Fitness. Our second sponsor is Custom Debuts. So you guys don't have all these cool stuff on the wall. I got the flag, got the decks right there. I got posters all over the place. I like this kind of stuff because I like music. That's what I like. But if I ever wanted a poster that would stand out so much, and I'd have me be the only one that have it, that's where Custom Debuts comes in, because you can create custom posters with anything in music, and this is how it's done. So you go to their website and you type in an artist. Let's use Ice Nine Kills for this example. I can type in an album. Let's say Welcome to Horrorwood, so we're screaming at Volume 2, or a song. Let's go with Welcome to Horrorwood as well. And they will create a custom poster off of that song or off of that album for me. And once they're done with it, they'll send me a proof within 48 hours. And if I don't like it, I can tell them what I want to change. I can tell them more of what I want. If I do like it, or once I like it, I give them the thumbs up, and they'll send the poster either on, classic poster paper, or the thicker poster paper kind of stuff, a canvas print, or as an aluminum freaking sign. So you can be the coolest person in the office, coolest person out on the town. I don't know, you'd be out in the town with that though. Coolest person in your dorm room, coolest person in the garage, just coolest paper, whatever it might be. That's where Custom Debuts can have you with the coolest custom poster ever. So our listeners get 10% off code CPP10 at checkout. Custom Debuts website. Link in the description of the podcast. Thank you, Custom Debuts. Now on our feature presentation. Hey guys, cheer up, because the band is called Cheer Up Dusty. Yeah, Cheer Up Dusty. The band is from Philadelphia, and Brayan from the band is on the podcast today. So Brayan's talking to us about, with him originally coming from Latin America, I believe he said Costa Rica, about how he learned English from pop punk music and how he was able to, get into the culture and also make friends, especially at school, through pop punk music. We also talk about just different things around music. We talk about their brand new song, Everybody Hates Me, and we go in depth into the meaning of the song and how so many people are really getting behind it. We also talk about, understanding expectations and how does a horse and buggy or an ox and a covered wagon make their way into the conversation about the band potentially using those on, they go on tour as transportation. Hint, it revolves around gas prices, but honestly, not a bad idea. So please welcome Brayan from Cheer Up Dusty to the podcast. Are you guys ready? I am, so let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. You know what kind of music everyone likes that no one really has? Oh my God, I have a bad experience. It's pretty much pop punk. Who has a bad time listening to pop punk? It's so much fun. It's upbeat, no matter what they're talking about. Let's talk about it, shall we? Because I got a band from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They have a brand new song called Everybody Hates Me, which honestly is a pretty good name for a pop punk track. We can talk all about the song and all about the band's music. So please welcome Brayan from the band Cheer Up Dusty to the podcast. So Brayan, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. That was so kind. All right, man, you're really good at this.
Hey, man, I think this is like my 287th episode I've done, so I've had a bit of practice.
Yeah, no worries, man. That was great, though. Really appreciate you having me here. And yeah, really excited to partake.
Well, I'm happy to have you here, man. First off, let's just get started with this. How's everything going in your world right now? How's everything going with the band, especially with the release of new song? Just how has life been pretty much the past couple of weeks with this brand new song?
So this is actually pretty crazy. Life has been really good. I mean, generally really good for me and the band. We've been prepping this, and right before we recorded this, everything was just like quiet and weird a little bit. But there's just been like a different feeling in the air, right? You get that feeling. We dropped it, and just a very, very positive response, which we're really excited about. It's been the positivity has kind of exceeded our expectations, so we're really grateful for it, and we're trying to keep this wave going, and hopefully put out more that keeps the positivity coming.
Absolutely, just keep riding the wave, just especially after the song you're riding basically like the wave, just going like, whoa, this is fucking awesome. Hang 10, dude. Okay, now I'm done being, super cringy from the, late 90s, early 2000s kind of stuff right there. But hey, if we're talking pop punk music, I kind of got to bring some of that in the mix because it kind of fits the era, I guess.
No, exactly. I don't have that baby face, but I'm pop punk age. I'm at that almost ripe age of 28. Believe it or not.
Hey man, I'm at the ripe age of 27, and anytime I get to go see a show, I'm there. Those pop punk shows, sometimes, the music is energetic. You get a pick going, and someone's got to be the energetic ball of energy that's going to make sure the pick keeps going and is going nonstop throughout the whole entire thing. Someone's got to take that responsibility, and I humbly accept that every single time, because at the beginning of the month of March, I was at a smaller venue here in Milwaukee, got to go see a couple pop punk bands, including the headliner, which was Belmont, and shit. That crowd was not, it was a smaller venue, so it wasn't the biggest crowd I've ever seen, but was that crowd rowdy, and was I having fun in the middle of the pit. I wanted to lead that thing. I'm like, let's go! Just bouncing up and down everywhere, throwing myself into people, It's what the music calls for. It makes you want to move. It makes you want to go crazy.
Exactly.
So why not do it?
Yeah, that's the reason to do it. It's just you want to move. You want to be moving about. It's for fun. If people aren't moving and not feeling it, what's the point? But yeah, I get that. I love pop punk that does that. It's crazy to me. It made me think like pop punk to me was like the introduction to American music when I was like formative. Like. It's weird when you're learning English and you're like 5 and you're like, what's everything? And then, you're in a car and then your dad pulls out like the big thing. Cause like my dad, what is it? Probably like, just around like 30, early 30, he pulled out like the big old plastic case with all like the CDs in it. Right. Flip out, you pick the one, pop it in. First one, it's like blank, then it's like Linkin Park, and then he's like, watch this one, this is a burnt mix one, and he's got the burnt CD. It's like a playlist. So you got multiple on it. Oh man, and it was great was when I inherited that car. I inherited that big collection of CDs. Oh man, that was a good time. But that's why pop punk is so special to me.
I want to jump a little bit more into that because it's a much more interesting story than I thought, possibly could have really ever been imaginative. Because I haven't ever heard really anyone on the podcast, I've talked to people on the podcast that have originally come from different countries outside the United States or are from different parts of the world. But I've yet to hear someone, using music, specifically pop punk music, to really help them learn the language and really help them along to maybe also get a little bit more of an understanding of the culture, because when you were growing up at that time, pop punk was incredibly powerful, incredibly popular, especially like the early mid 2000s. You're thinking of bands, thinking of Blink-182, Sum 41, Newfound Glory,
Yep.
Fall Out Boy, and then you get a little more like the emo side of things with the Used, the Main, of course, My Chemical Romance. So can you explain a little bit more about what it was like to use pop punk to learn English at such a young age? Because I just honestly, I'm finding this fascinating, man. I really want to know more about this.
It's weird because it's like, I mean, it's like, as I was going to learn, it's like the first, like, obviously aside from TV, but like I listened to like a lot more music. There was like, I tried to listen to my dad's Blink CDs, and then I would try to listen to like, what was it, the Pokemon 2000 movie, the soundtrack CD. I remember because there's like a video, there's like a whole movie of me saying that. But I mean, like those CDs, like, you vibe in, you want to sing along, and it's like, it's like your formative thing. And to like, I don't know, it got me used to things. It's like, I don't think it was that like I intended to learn the language, but it was like very like, like subconscious, like I'm just vibing out. I'm trying to rock out as a little kid. I'm in my room with like my CD player, like those like shake proof ones. So like they don't skip when, when you're moving about and stuff like that. So like that was like really cool. And then, every morning, you'd be exposed to watching, like TRL, like the music videos, like Good Charlotte, Sum 41, like all these bands. I think like when I was like a kid, like the first like explicit music video that I started to like really watch, I was like, I had to like get around. I think it was I want to say it's the Hell Song by Sum 41.
Okay.
Is it the right band now? Yeah, so it's Sum 41, right?
Yeah, the Hell Song was written by Sum 41.
Okay, yeah, okay. I'm not being weird. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
They have the music video. They have the music video with all the action figures.
Yeah. That's like, the one.
That was like, first of all, that's such a dope music video. Like the fact that no one has tried to do something like that again in the last like 20 years is, that they're missing out on some inspiration right there, because that shit was crazy. And it had like, first of all, it was like angsty as hell. It had like all the Jesus characters and all that stuff, like doing all the, like that raw stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, that's so funny. Like, look at that. Like he's peeing, like, and, I was like, back then, being exposed, I was like, whoa, what is that? But now, kids everyone's like on an iPad. But yeah, so like, that's like that was to me like growing up and realizing like, oh, this is what it means to like, I guess kind of like be American. Like, this is what I see on the news, and I see the kids like, all listening to it too. So it's like, everyone's like, we're all just punk as fuck.
Well, it's like everyone's listening to it, and because when I was in, like 4th and 5th grade, maybe 6th grade as well, it's like I was looking at, just trying to, because I went to a different school at that point, just trying to get some sort of common ground with those kids. And it was, I'm just going to listen to music that they listen to. Of course, they listen to like none of that stuff. Like they were listening to just like, Beyonce, Justin Timberlake, or whatever, Akon, whatever was popular back in like 2005. But then all of a sudden it was, going into like find out, exactly what I liked. And all of a sudden starting to get into some of the stuff, the pop punk stuff, some of the metal stuff. All of a sudden, then, started to like Disturbed, them calling me a demon child, then me getting into Rise Against, and everything just taking off from there, because fuck yeah, of course it did. But when it comes to you, it's, you're able to connect with so many of the other kids that you're going to be around, especially at that time, coming from a different country. And you had a connection point with them through this music. So when it came to having some sort of commonality, having some sort of a connection with these kids and, creating friends, getting to know people, becoming more of a part of, the school, becoming more a part of the American culture as well, you're able to do that through music, which is absolutely fantastic because music brings so many people together, and it did that for you from such a young age on.
Yeah, and it did. It's brought me like a lot of like, it's done that, and then it's even like, which is like kind of a little crazy. It's like, it's even done the reverse of that. Like it's also brought me back home, at the same time, like later on. So like, you grow up, you listen to, all this like punk rock, those rock, uh, you know, uh, and then, you have phases where I listen to, a lot of Spanish music, a lot of reggaeton, a lot of like salsa music, a lot of music from, artists from Panama, Puerto Rico, stuff like that. Uh, and it comes to my playing, which is, it's a good thing and a bad thing. I don't think we're in a spot where, I see a lot of the polyrhythms have influenced my playing, and it's subconsciously there. But it definitely took a while to get it all together where, I can, use the influences subconsciously, mesh it all together, and then produce something that kind of goes like really angsty, like this track. It's something that like when Justin and the guys, who again, I feel like Justin and Patty on the bass, like I feel like they're more punk than me sometimes. So they go hard, whether they like to admit it or not. But when I go to them, they're like, yeah, this slaps. This is how I see it, and it's good that it takes that ride.
I'll say it kind of has to take that ride as well, because when it comes to, you going back to some of the other music they was, like you said, like stuff with salsa, reggaeton, what that also does is when you end up coming back and working on stuff with Cheer Up Dusty, you have these different influences in there, these different rhythms, these different styles that you're also influenced by. So when it comes to putting this kind of music in your playing, sometimes finding some of those rhythms, sometimes finding some of those ideas, finding some of those influences to put them in there might bring out the sound that you want. And by having you with that influence, you're able to, understand that, pick that out and put that into a song so that it comes out the way that you guys want it to come out. And without that, it wouldn't come out the way you wanted to. And that could be a piece along with everybody else's influences as well. One of those influences could be a piece where you put it into your style of pop punk music and it becomes the thing that people just latch onto and becomes a thing, where all of a sudden you never know what happens. That one simple part in influence could become the next, TikTok viral sensation and just have, some weird kind of like TikTok, video duet collaboration thing based off of the one part of the song. Or it could be something where you put it out online and all of a sudden just it becomes viral any given instance. All of a sudden, Twitter picks it up for something picks up on Instagram with it. It goes crazy on YouTube. It could be something like that. But if you don't have those influences and you're going back to those, kind of just jumping back and forth between all those different genres, you wouldn't end up having this much potential to create a sound that is uniquely yours.
Yeah, and I totally agree a lot with what you said there. Yeah, definitely vibe there a lot with that. I'd like to say so. And yeah, hopefully it's really nice to go to viral like that on TikTok. One can only hope, right?
Yeah, one can only hope. But again, it can happen at any time, honestly. I'm trying to get, the podcast bigger using TikTok as well with some weird with videos from the podcast. It's like, I know I'm going to have to try and find one thing. Like if all it takes is just one thing to hit, but but it depends on putting as much as I can out there to maximize my chances of hitting on
exactly. Something. Yeah, exactly. And with that, you also build, like your niche audience, and that's what we've been doing. I feel like, like last year with the first few singles, so this song right here, the new single we released is the first one with, all 4 members. So Dusty started as just, Dusty, aka Justin the singer. When he wrote Last Year Gave Me the Business, when he was dropping the music video, he met Patty, who was who's pretending to play drums in the music video. He's like, hey, he wants to join, he wants in, he wants to play bass. So then they have a pool of songs, they've worked on and stuff like that. And, they're prepping up to release it. But right around that time I came in and I was like, hey, what's up? And from the get-go, Justin was really honest, and they're like, "Hey, we already got these 4 songs, so it's gonna be a while." Um, what is it? So this is like the first one with like 4 members on it, and yeah, that's what really gives it something. And throughout that time, we've really built an audience through those like first like group that Justin laid out the foundation. We had 4 tracks, and now here with this song, what we're noticing is, and what we're really thankful for is that there really does seem to be an organic audience for once, like, and that's like really starting to bloom. And knock on wood, it turns into something nice, right? Because what is it? Yeah, like we all feel the song is special. And what is it? We released like the first song of our EP last time. It hit off on one of the Spotify editorial playlists. It was like Randy Savage Would Be Disappointed. That song hit off, and within like about a week, we've already had like hit like 5,000 plays. It was really cool. We didn't know where it came from, and we found out it's the playlist, and we're like to try to figure out like who knew, like like we knew that like we submitted, right?
Yeah.
But like you don't actually think you'd hit it, but you take the chance every single time, right? So like the first one came off, and then the rest, haven't hit, which at most people honestly would get a little bummed out, and they might, question a lot of things, maybe, fall into a hole or give up altogether. Especially after like a year putting out music, like a year and a half, right? When you like start off with these like such high expectations, like thinking that you'll be able to do that again, like time and time and time again, right? Because you did it once, you can do it again.
Mm-hmm.
But this time, there's like I said in the beginning, there's like a different air about this single. There's no editorial playlist, which is fine. We're really managing expectations. However, we are noticing that there's like this like snowballing like organic support for it, which we're seeing that there's this support and this like Dusty fan base growing, and we really want to like connect with them more. We gotta figure out where they are, but it's really cool to see them that like it's like a good amount, and they're like in all these places, which is like really cool. And with the single, you didn't think would happen,
Now, before I kind of go on to like a point where it's like kind of, using what you said and really bringing it more into some more light as well, because I do think, your mindset behind, tempering your expectations when something like that hits, especially for a musician or anything that you create, is definitely smart. But before I go into that, I want to ask about this organic reach. And where do you think this organic reach is coming from specifically? Do you think it's from what you guys have done, leading up to this, or do you think it's from how you've rolled out the song on like, basically anywhere, YouTube, on streaming platforms, social media? Where do you think a lot more of this organic reach is finally coming from?
That's a good question. So, I mean, I think I want to say the answer would be like, we've been trying to be smarter with our rollouts, right? I wouldn't say we're like the best, we're perfect at it yet. And like even this rollout too, like as we rolled out, we realized that like we left opportunities on the table to promote it even more, which, happens, but they're growing pains. We hadn't done anything different that we had done the previous 5 singles, right? So like the first single that hit off really well, which was exciting. We didn't really plan that much, but once we knew that we were capable of that, right? We started like giving, time between like submission and stuff like that. Like we tried all these things to be better at rollout, but nothing drastically different this time. Um, so I want to credit it rollout, but maybe consistency. Um, I don't want to jinx it, but I want to say, um, maybe this song just strikes a chord with people more than the others, and I can totally understand. Um, I've been a big advocate, or not like a big advocate, but I've just been like, like, like I'll be my own hater, like for like you know, um, I don't want to fall into certain tropes and cliches that just are have become kind of just like joking points with pop punk. You know what I mean? Like I like playing in a band. I think what you do is cool. I think there's a lot of great music, a lot of talented people, right? And you know, I want to bring that credit and that light to them. So but I don't know. Maybe this one was different than the other ones, and it just seems to resonate a little more. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but maybe not. But
I mean, it very well could be the case. It could be just the fact that everybody hates me really just hit with people in a different way than maybe some of the other songs you guys have come out with. Maybe it was something where by the time this one had rolled out from what you guys had done from the previous other singles that you have released, maybe people started, really getting more connected with, been more following it. And so when they were following it on whatever platform they were following the band on, when the new song came out, they had some sort of draw to listen to it, and that brought them in even closer. And you won't jinx it because I got you covered right here again.
Yeah, I got one too. Yeah,
but
no, absolutely.
But the one thing I do want to really bring light to is when you said when the first one released, all of a sudden, you try to get it on those curated playlists, which you got, and the other next ones you didn't. But there's a couple of things there. One, always take the shot. It's you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, of course, got to throw that in there for all your Office fans.
Yeah,
yeah. But it's if you try. The second best thing they can say is no, because then you have a definitive answer. If they say yes, that's great. But if you don't try, they're always going to say no because you didn't even try. So why not give it a shot? Even for myself, there have been times where in the podcast, I've reached out to try and get bands in the podcast, and I've been told no for a couple of different reasons. And I totally understand it, but in doing that, I've been able to create a different opportunity from that. One was I tried reaching out because I love Ice Nine Kills. I wanted to see if I could get them on the podcast. They told me I wasn't big enough at the time, but their PR firm said, can we keep you on our contact list? So in case other things come up with us, we can bring you some other bands. Sure, fine. Did I get what I wanted right now? No, but did I end up, making out ahead of time because I took the chance and now I may have a positive connection with this other PR firm? Absolutely. Another thing is tempering expectations, which is what you said. And it's very important for any band to be able to do that and any artist or any creator to do that because you might put something out there that absolutely hits. You never notice. For you guys, the first song goes on a curated playlist. Hell yeah, that's fantastic. But you can't expect that to happen every single time. So if you temper those expectations and have more of that realistic approach where we're going to put this next song out, we're going to try and get on these playlists again to see what happens, but we might not do it. It might not just hit. We might have done something wrong, but where can we learn from this? Myself, I'll give a great example. For the podcast, I recently started to do a whole new marketing kind of style thing with a company called Brighton Media. They're helping me out with some of this stuff, and we're getting more on the TikTok style, the Instagram Reels, YouTube Short stuff. And I tried doing this whole entire new style with those promotions. And the first band I did it with was the band Blind Channel. They came in 6th in the Eurovision contest in 2021. They're big over in Finland. They're touring right now in the US with From Ashes to New. And I put out the episode and it's this marketing, it's working. I've got the most amount of audio streams for that episode I've ever had across all audio platforms. The episode is probably my 5th or 6th largest ever on YouTube, which is fantastic. And the engagement is great. But I kind of temper my expectations before my next episode release because that's a much bigger band that has a much bigger fan base. How much of that is going to be attributed to that band and their fan base, and how much is attributed to my actual marketing? So when the next band came out, they're not as well known. It didn't work out nearly as well. But I knew what I was getting myself into, and I still have to, wait and trust the process. even with you being from Philadelphia, you've probably heard that too many times, if you're following the 76ers.
Hey, no, trust me, I appreciate it. And trust me. And no, listen, I hear you on that. I didn't come off to being like, I think might be some misinterpretation. I didn't come off to be like, oh, we're defeatist and we're like super bummed, we were really positive that song had hit the editorial. And, we want to carry ourselves like, hey, like this is a possibility to carry on. A lot of the team, obviously, like they want to set high expectations. So like, it's not that we had to manage where we had to like, pull ourselves from our bootstraps every time we dropped a single and it didn't release. But like, it was just like, oh darn, like we didn't go, but let's still like build these lessons. Like, what do we got? Like we've had like I mentioned, we've had a consistent rollout plan and we've only improved on it each time. Always getting better to even where this last one that we did, where like, where we had left opportunities, we're still like gearing up where, the next one's going to be better. And, we're still in a position where, even like you mentioned, where due to the consistency and by trusting the process, we have this like really organic thing kind of like brewing where it's kind of really cool to see, like, is it the song? Is this a bit of consistency? Whichever of those two is for the cost for that, there's a lot of positivity coming and we're really appreciated for all of it.
Yeah, and you did come across with that positivity mindset where you weren't bummed at the fact that, that second one didn't hit on those curated playlists. I think a better way to put it is you guys understand the expectations where you have your hopes and you want it to do well, but you understand that if it hits those expectations, great. If it doesn't hit those expectations, alrighty, let's go and see why it didn't hit those expectations. Not from, this is the music that we made, this is the music we want to make, this is what we should be doing when it comes to the music. But when it comes to rollout of it, when it comes to marketing, when it comes to social media interaction, when it comes to getting people to notice this, what can we do better on that front to actually get people to listen to this potentially for the first time and then get into the band Cheer Up Dusty from this moment? It's not coming through as like, trying to it's not necessarily manage those expectations. It's having those expectations, but understanding them so that in terms of if you hit them, great. If you don't hit them, then understanding why you didn't hit them instead of being, oh, we didn't hit them. Well, this is bad. It's just having more of that, growth mindset behind it.
Yeah. And that's like, and that's like the only way to look at it. Like, you mentioned like all those opportunities that you have to shoot those shots, like, to drive your podcast, to drive that. And it takes a lot. So, it's really exciting. And hopefully, next one will be even bigger. And who knows, honestly, I hopefully do this process, man. By the looks of it, it doesn't look like this team is slowing down on the song anytime soon, which currently exceeding my expectations.
Like we said from the beginning of the podcast, just keep riding that wave. If it's gonna keep the positivity rolling, it's keep the engagement's there. The organic growth is there. Keep riding that for now as you continue to work on new music, as you guys play live shows, and as you can continue to okay, what's next for us? But as we're working on what's next for us, we have to keep riding this wave of positivity that Everybody Hates Me is bringing to the band and bringing to our growth.
Oh yeah, and it's be exciting because now we're gonna have an opportunity to play it for all these people who. They're probably curious to how it's going to sound. We'll play it locally around Philly for a couple months and then go up to all the way up into Boston. So, Northeast going to get to hear it. And who knows? Honestly, I personally would really like to come out to the Chicago area to play a couple of shows because I have not been to Chicago yet. It's like an area I really want to go. And then also to back to Kansas City, which is just another few more hours on the other side. But that's just me hungry thinking about Kansas City barbecue.
Hey man, when you're hungry, I totally understand it. And when it comes to you guys with your live show, especially with where you're located with Philadelphia, I mean, it makes a lot of sense to really stick to start out within the Northeast region, just
Yeah.
because when it comes to, the United States, 'cause I've talked about this a couple times in the podcast as well with other bands. When it comes to the United States, like there are different regions of the country. And when it comes to music, they all, they all connect with the music in a little bit of a different way. And when
Oh,
it comes to the
100%.
styles that I always end up talking about in the podcast, rock and metal and any like subgenres that kind of branch off of that, pop punk being one of them, there's always I would always say there's four major places I always kind of look at. And one is the Northeast, because there's a lot of bands a lot of bands that are from the Northeast, or again, with how many people are there. So you have a lot of that. You have a lot of that area to really work with. You can put California in its own group as well because of how many people are there, and with how the entertainment industry is. You're always going to have something there. Texas and Florida are also in that as well because of how big a states are. Plus, Texas has its own thing. Florida is completely its own thing, and I know people in Florida love that. But then there's the region of the country with the Midwest. Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, the Chicago area, and all of Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, just all in the Midwest. We love this. It's even though it's if you look at the pop radio charts, and it's you're not hearing a lot of stuff played, but you come and put a show in here. This is where a lot of people are still listening to this stuff. I go to shows all the time over here, and it's insane seeing how some of these sell out. And how here in Milwaukee at the rave, they'll put shows at the basement level, and all of a sudden it's okay. We have to move them up to the next level because they sold out and the demand is still high. So we need to sell more tickets. Let's move up to a bigger stage and sell more tickets that way, and people are still gonna show up. I mean, hell, when I went to go see Belmont at a small venue here in Milwaukee, there are probably 300-400 people in that room.
Wow, that's amazing, and that's what you'd love for a show like that. Oh my God. There's just some underrated areas, and that makes sense because obviously cities is more stuff going on, obviously different types of music scenes, some more dominant than others, and they take up venues and whatever, but the Midwest is always striving for this, and they've also have a big influence a lot of the variations, you know what I mean? So many variations have come from the Midwest, and that's just to go show how awesome the bands are there, the shows that happen there, the tours that happen there, the fans there, to because any scene starts at the fans, so you just save the best for last, right? Because they build that up, without them packing up those rooms, what's the point? And honestly, those are the types of places I want to play, is where, people ultimately really care, and they want to have fun, and they want to dance, and they want to move, and they want to just enjoy life to the max.
Absolutely. And this is not knocking any other area of the country that we didn't mention, because we do know those areas of the country. It's you see the tours that come through. They go all over the place. They go to the south, they go to the west, they go to the southeast. They go all over the place. So we know the scene is there. But when it comes to, you look at, and I talk to bands about a lot of this. You take a look at, Spotify. You take a look at the cities that listen to, your music the most. When it comes to rock and metal, no matter what, this is pretty much an assumption across the board. Chicago's going to be in that top 5. It's pretty much an assumption at this point. If it's not number 1, it's always going to be in the top 5. But a lot of times it ends up being number 1. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's, I'm fairly confident Chicago's in our top 5. Exactly. It's it's a good place. It's a big music city. It's 100% one of the biggest music cities. Chicago's number 2. I knew it was number 2. I didn't want to say it right away, and then it'd be number 4, and I was an idiot. So I was but I definitely had a good feeling it was definitely higher than that. So yeah, it's it's a huge music city, so much is set up there. But, and like I said, it's not a knock to anywhere else, right? This isn't a knock anywhere else. This is just more Midwest Chicago appreciation, give the shout outs where shout out to do, you know?
Yeah,
Because
it's the appreciation for like this area of the country and like other areas that are prominent, and we're basically using data at this point to show appreciation. We're not knocking any other area. We're showing appreciation, and we do have data to back up that these areas of the countries are listening to this music. And even when it comes to Cheer Up Dusty as well, we're seeing that. I'm assuming Philadelphia was number one, and then you have Chicago at number two.
Yeah, Philadelphia was number one, which is awesome. Chicago was number two. And it's by a good amount. Like our listeners seem to be growing there, which is like really good. I wish there would be more like fine grained, because it'd be nice to like coordinate, to be like, okay, you know, these fans are close to each other. Let's go down and set up a show that's accessible to nearly everybody, so everyone can come and at least have the opportunity to do so.
If you guys are able to make something like that happen, then definitely make it, because again, people are going to come out and see the show. People are, especially after 2 years, like a year and a half of no shows because of the pandemic, people are hungry. People are still itching to go to shows. I mean, even myself, I've been to, by the time we're recording this podcast, I've been to maybe like a little bit on the low side for me, actually, probably about 7 or 8 only this year. However, in the month of March, I'm going to at least 8, and by the time we're recording this, I'm already through 4 with 2 still to go the next couple of days. And it's like, all right, I'm still, April comes along, I've got like another 8 or 9 that are set for that. It's for people that like are really like music or just love that concert experience, they're gonna show up, and there's a lot more people that are gonna be like that. I've kind of been seeing this because we had lost it for such a long period of time that now we're still in that period of time where it's back, and we still easily remember what had happened the previous 2 years, and we're not going to take this for granted.
No, not at all. And as cool as it is to like, exciting it is to like get back and play like your own show, I appreciate so much going to a show and like watching somebody else, because of that reason, like we've been so deprived, like, you know, it's so exciting. I'm still on the low side too, because like I had gotten a new job during like this time, but God, it's been way too long, so it is really exciting. People want to be out, and it's good for them. You can't blame them. We gotta just give them what they want and let them have a little fun. I think we've all just been too stressed out lately.
Oh, I very much so, with everything that's going on in the world. And when it comes to shows too, can we get those lower gas prices again? Because I mean, it's definitely going to help us drive to some of these further shows, especially people like me who like to travel like 2 hours to shows. Can you help us out with the gas price a little bit? That'd be really nice.
That's like every show you're going to go on is like getting more and more expensive, and not because of tickets either.
Pretty much. Because this is literally a span of 5 days. In early March, it was one day, drove down to Chicago for a show. The next day, or then drove back to Milwaukee that same night. The following day, drove up to Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is a little bit further than the trip to Chicago in terms of distance. Drove back the same night. Then the next day was a Sunday, so I had some running around to do. Then Monday, normal day work. Tuesday, drive back down to Chicago and drive back home the rest of the day. It's like I'm spending money on gas. I'm like, the gas prices are being more expensive than the concerts I'm going to. What the hell? Can we change it by lowering the price instead of like trying to like up the price of concert? But then again, it's also like if I start seeing bands up the price of concert, they say it's because they have to pay more in gas. It's like if they up by $1, like I get it. You're not gonna hear me complain. It's like I get it. I'd rather see them live than save what, like 20 cents on gas. I guess overall, right? Like I don't fucking know.
It's like
not a gallon overall.
Yeah, I'm thinking screw the band van. I'm looking for a band carriage at this point. Get a horse and buggy and carry our amps to the show. That way, we'll be on 95 all the way to Boston. Just like clacking on the way there at this rate.
Man, screw that. Give me an ox and a covered wagon. At least you can put the band's name on the covered wagon.
Oh my God.
Shit, if someone starts... Okay.
I want to see a picture like a big buggy, like with like the whole like carriage out draw, and like we get out, we're all gonna be like revolutioned up as we land in Boston with the Tea Party.
If you guys can pull this off and do anything you can to put it on like TikTok or YouTube, anything, Instagram, anything, please do it. That would probably gain so much fucking press. You don't know how many people would be like, what those guys? Because of gas prices, this is how we're getting to shows now, and all of a sudden you have like a horse-drawn carriage going through the streets.
Yeah.
You can only have to go through for like 3 blocks or something, but all of a sudden like going through with you guys in Revolutionary War Club, carrying all your gear with a horse and buggy to the venue.
Yeah, that's how we're riding these days. Why? Because gas is too expensive, man.
If anyone asks you, be like, gas is too damn high. Just going off on it.
Too damn high,
man. Well, but one thing I do also want to talk about too, because we've talked about so far, you know, learning English and getting an understanding of American culture through music, understanding expectations, you know, where to go play live shows, kind of what you're kind of looking forward to, and now a horse and buggy thing. And it all really kind of stemmed from, you know, the fact that you guys got a new song out called Everybody Hates Me. And we haven't really even talked about the song all that much up to this point, so...
Oh, that old John? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. So, I mean, in my professional podcast voice, we must kind of allude to that at some point, but that's more me being way too professional. I gotta, you know, lighten this up, go hoo-ha, hoo-ha.
No worries.
So, starting out with, when it comes to Everybody Hates Me, when you guys are writing this song, what was the inspiration behind the song, and what is really, you know, the meaning of the song? Because I was trying to, you know, figure out the meaning. I saw what I got in the press release, and I feel like the meaning of the song also hits a lot on the reason why you're seeing a lot of organic growth when it comes to a song like this.
Yeah, so it's funny because so like the progression itself definitely has a lot of like angst, and in trying to cultivate that, you know, it's like taking like many different lives and forms and shapes, and Justin was able to kind of utilize, and like by just like, you know, getting at him, like one of those moments where, you know, you kind of like, you give them the man a moment, and he just like finally like releases like the plug and all the stuff that's like very, very deep in there. You know, not so much like self-hate, but more like much more so, you know, where you stack up, and that constant comparison, and you know, he compares himself to, you know, like how his son and how his parents view him, and how he stacks up to that. And obviously the feeling of, you know, not living up to that, because, you know, when you're a kid and, you know, you think of your dad as like that superhero, like, you know, you don't know any better, but, you know, he understands that now he's a dad, and he's looking, and, you know, he sees that he's, you know, a singer in a pop punk band, and a local pop punk band, and he's, you know, not working the best job, and he's like, you know, has to like bust his ass every day, and he does so like really hard. So like that's kind of a lot when it comes out there, and we've really tried to like, I feel that, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that feeling in tons of other ways, whether it be expectations set by, you know, their own family members, or, you know, or peers, or, you know, their insecurities that just, you know, I get to them really.
Yeah, I can understand that, especially coming from like what you're talking about with Josh as well, you know, with him being a father and just wanting, you know, do the best that he possibly can, but sometimes feeling like he's not tempering the expectation or hitting those expectations, even for yourself as well. When I was looking at the song, because I saw that kind of in the press release, it was talking about coming from a feeling of anxiety that you're not good enough and that everyone around you just kind of like doesn't like you in life. And I took a little bit of a different direction where I'm like, it really takes a look at how we tend to self-sabotage ourselves, being way too concerned with, what others and what they are doing, what they're thinking, and wanting to gain that approval from them. It's a look kind of against, the current culture standpoint, specifically where social media comes in, where people put so much stock into someone simply tapping on the phone screen to hit a like button for validation. It kind of brings to the question, is your happiness so dependent upon the validation from others, or is your happiness depend upon what's truly, in your heart, what truly makes you happy? Is it dependent upon that other person, or is it depend upon yourself? Now, I know if you have responsibilities, like I'll use Josh's example, or Justin's example, my bad. He is a father. So, he's going to also, take a lot more stock, when it comes to his kid. And that makes a total amount of sense. But when it comes to, outside forces, when it comes to forces that really aren't that close, specifically social media, you're gonna put something out there, and all of a sudden you have some random person named, Big Boy 64787 coming and telling you that you suck, and their picture is one of those like crypto monkey thingies. It's kind of like, are you letting that person influence your happiness when they're taking time out of their day to try and make you miserable because they're probably just as miserable, instead of like focusing so heavily in on seeking validation from so many others that you really don't care about? Seek the happiness from within so that you can kind of quell some of that anxiety that you're not good enough and that everyone doesn't like you. You can quell that anxiety where it's like, I like me. I like who I am. Yeah. And I'm going to roll with that. You'll quell that anxiety because if you're going to be, so then you're good enough for yourself. Once you become confident, good enough for yourself, then you can go forward. And after that, then the confidence just starts to roll. The positivity just starts to roll. And then not only you feel good enough, but then the people around you will also feel that positivity, and it can even influence them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So like, it's funny the way you phrase that, because that perspective, like what I phrased was, one aspect, yes. And what you phrased it is a whole completely other aspect. There are some like traces in the song, that have those like, societal expectations, like, like technically he should be like here in life according to like these expectations, and he's not there. And, and does that, can make him, does that write him off as a failure? Or, like, is there, or does, deep down, like, I'm not trying to speak for him because I know he kind of mentioned his song, like he realizes like, what is it? There's still time for him to be a finished project, like it's not too late, and it's absolutely there. I know there's a lot of things going on that, really make you question whether or not that is the case.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that make you question that. And again, a lot of it comes from different pressures that are around you, whether it's from your family, from friends, and what you think society kind of wants you to do. Because even if I look at it myself, it's like at this point in time, at 27 years old, I'm pretty sure society kind of looks and dictates where I should be in a stable 9-to-5 job and should honestly be close to probably getting married at this point. Where do I have a stable 9-to-5 job? I'll say yeah. I still have a full-time job for this stuff, so I kind of guess I hit on that one. But when it comes to kind of okay, where am I supposed to be in life? Should I be getting married, having kids? Are you kidding me? I'm still going out to shows pretty much like twice a week because I find it fun. That's what I want to do in life. And one thing I've noticed from that too is when I go to these shows, like the one I went to the night before this, I had met a lot of people at that show that had recognized me. And it was like, I recognize them, but of course, sometimes we forget names. So, okay, it's all good, how you doing? How you doing? Like, what's your name again? Yes, thank you. And then we go in the pit and we have a great time. And it's delivering that positivity once again and seeing the impact of that positivity. I'm like, you know what? This is so much fun. Like, I want to keep doing this. This is me living life the way that I want to live it. And success, honestly, is relative to happiness. You can have the most amount of money in the world. I don't care if you're making $10 million, I don't care if you're making that much a year. If you're miserable versus someone who might be, say they're only making like $47,000 a year, but they're living life the way they want to live it and they're absolutely happy, who's to say they're not the success in life based on the fact that they are focused on living life the way that they want to live it. They found their happiness. They're going for it. and they're enjoying life instead of chasing after what they think they should, what society says they should be chasing after, or this premonition of what they should be going after. If you're a parent or something like that, and you're creating a better world for your child, and and that's part of your passion, and that's what you want to do, and you want to be the best parent possible, and you're going to execute on that, even if it comes to the expense of some other things that you think society wants to do, fuck it. If you want to be the best dad in the world, go be the freaking best dad in the world.
Exactly. And it's funny because we do have a song about being the best fucking dad in the world. Was it Every Other Weekend Dad from It's Just as though it's just being the best dad as possible, which is really good. It's one of the favorite songs to play live too. Because it's nice to do this. There's a slow song he wrote called I Got Fired. And then we just changed the pace to Every Other Weekend Dad, just sing about being the best fucking dad. And it gets all high paced, funkin', everyone really good, high energy. Everyone's moving again all of a sudden after being like weirdly like slow for like a minute and 30 seconds. But yeah.
But sometimes you need those slow songs and sets though to kind of like just, keep the wave of emotion riding and just really create the best experience possible. Because sometimes if you're pedal to metal the whole entire time, sometimes that can get tired. If you're creating that dynamic performance, that does work out well. But again, kind of taking a look at the message of Everybody Hates Me, from where you guys come from, kind of my interpretation of it. But again, with the core being, not feeling good enough and having different pressures make you feeling that when it's really not, coming from within yourself, when it's just from outside pressures. A lot of people can resonate with that, especially people that are, honestly, I would say that are in our age range, maybe a little bit older and also younger as well, because as time goes on, especially with social media, we're seeing so many of these other things. We're seeing the highlight reel of celebrities' lives, of people's lives, of these people that have blue check marks next to their name, and you really don't know what they did to get those, but they have. It's like people are basing what they want to do in life off of what those people are doing. It's like, oh, I want to be like them. Do you want to be like yourself? If you really want to be like them, and that's what makes you happy, by all means, go for it. I'm not lying. Go for it. But if that's not what you want and you're only doing it because, that's what you think you should be doing, stop immediately, figure out what you want to do, and then go after that. You're only looking at the highlight reel on social media. That's where a lot of the pressures come from. You're looking at the highlight reel. You're not looking at the full game tape.
Yep. No, I'm 100%. And it's so constant too. We put it on a place where it's, like everybody all the time has to be, smiling to the camera and all the lights, you know what I mean? And it burns people out. It burns people out, being on the watching end, where you're watching, person after person, act out their best life, or they're like, the best part of their life, full front and camera, and then everybody in the competition just to do the same thing as, just as much as they can, like every single time. And it wears on all of us. It's unsustainable. And it leads to that, to those, to fall in that hole and being in it, it's like, well, if I can't keep up, what does this mean about me? And, where do I stack up against everybody?
Yeah, we right now in the world today, we have an unhealthy obsession with comparing ourselves to others on social media, especially because, like you said, we're just seeing people post about the best parts of their lives. We're not seeing these people who are posting like, oh, everything's good. We're not seeing posts about the times they get burnt out. We're not seeing posts about the times where they don't want to do this stuff, where it's a struggle, where it's not, things aren't going right. We're only seeing the positive parts, the highlight reel. And if we keep comparing ourselves to that, we're going to end up feeling like, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're going to feel like we're falling behind. We're going to feel like we're not, the best people around. We're going to end up feeling completely inferior, and it's going to stress out. It's going to build up a lot of anxiety, and it's going to make us, more dependent, happiness be dependent on if we're comparing them instead of being happy on what we actually want to do in life and going forward. And a lot of people are starting to realize that, especially from a younger generation. And I think, again, with that kind of a message and the kind of sound you guys have on Everybody Hates Me, especially in more of a grander scheme, because when it comes down to the, when we talk about the message of the song, where you came from, you came in a little bit more of a specific kind of what you guys are going through. I kind of feel like I came in there a little bit more on a general scope, but again, the emotions still match up almost perfectly. A lot of kids I think a lot of people, a lot of kids, whoever it might be, are able to really get behind that message because they feel it, they understand it, and they can easily relate to it. And then the music behind it just makes it all the better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the point. Like, that's the whole point of, as a group, putting out this song. I mean, like, I know we have like our reasons, right? Like you mentioned, for like, right, like inspiration for writing this out. But like the feeling that Justin has and I have, that's all we try to capture. And like you said, you resonated with it. It's not the exact same, and it wouldn't, but it's like in the way that you resonate with it, and, that perspective, which is, it's still that same spot on feeling, and it's the same reason all those people. And honestly, I'm really excited you say that, because that's the reason we do this. That's the reason that we put on music. I know at times some people say they like to, like, oh, music is my self-expression, and this. Music is my communication. Like, there's these feelings, and I think for a song to reach people like that is more effective than me feeling better after writing a song because it helped me cope with something. Just to see everybody be like, yeah, I communicate with this, and I hold this with this. And if you want to kind of understand me or how I'm feeling, or my emotions, like, listen to this with me, or just hear this. And if you hear this, you hear me. And that's the goal for me.
Oh, I absolutely understand you on that, and I totally agree with that, because even myself, it's when it comes to understanding different things about emotions even within myself as well, music is a great way to put it, because the different sounds and different lyrics, different vocal tones, anything from clean, unclean vocals that artists put in a song, they resonate so much with a personal experience that artist went through, or whatever they want to talk about. But when I listen to it, I can take that, understand the core emotion that's behind it, and then put my own personal experience. And I feel a lot of people do this as well, put their own personal experiences in instead.
Exactly.
So we all connect with the song, and we all connect with the song and the same emotion, but we all do it for different specific reasons, because we've all gone through different things in life. We're all completely different people who who grew up in completely different ways. Even if you're like talking to someone that you grew up with, lived right next door to you for your whole entire life, what they experienced growing up is completely different than what you experienced growing up, even though there's a lot of similarities there. But why we connect that so much, because now we have an understanding of those emotions, especially for myself, and I'm able to use that music and understand what happened to my emotions at that time, how it happened. Again, understanding of kind of where things had gone right, where things had gone wrong. And when I listen to that music, now I have a better understanding of it, because it encapsulates that emotion. I forgot who said this quote, but it was something like, art decorates space, but music decorates time. And people can use that.
I think I've heard that. I love that.
Yeah, use that. People use the music, use the sounds to really time travel, because it decorates a specific period of time, and you can understand the emotions and understand the feelings and the mindset that you had at the time of a specific time and how you connect with that song. I'll use a song called Above My Head by Polaris as a prime example. First time I heard that song, I'm like, this song sounds interesting, but something's hitting me. I just don't know what it is. I listened to it again, paid a little more attention to the lyrics, and it absolutely hit me, especially with the way that the song sounded. I'm like, this is basically describing what I went through in the second half of 2017. Depression, self-hate, all of it, and how I felt and why I felt it. This all completely encapsulates it in one song. So even from there, been listening to the song even more ever since it came out in 2020, and I've been able to understand more about what I went through during that period of time and what actually caused it and how I got out of that situation, even how I got so far down in depression where I almost never came back. I got to understand that from listening to that song and understanding more of my emotions. And for a song like Everybody Hates Me, people are able to understand more of their emotions through it as well, based on the sound, based off of it's got more of this anthemic driven feel to it, especially once you hit the chorus. But people can kind of feel a little bit more of that. Why am I so dependent on other people and other people's validation, other people's opinions for my happiness? Why am I following what they're saying I should be doing to be happy? Why don't I follow what I feel like I need to do to be happy? and go forward and live life the best way that I possibly can do that.
Yeah, no, and that was all like perfectly said. And the beauty that's like at the end, that is the goal.
Say, my God, we are spitting on this podcast today. Well, because like especially was one of the biggest things when it came to the whole entire song was, like I said, with the chorus. And I'm looking at how my notes on the song, because I went through the whole song as deeply as possible as I normally do. I had in the chorus instrumentally, there's more of this like faster hard rock meets pop punk flow to the entire thing, with the guitars being a little bit rougher and with more of an echoing tone in the background compared to like what the verses had. And I do like that echoing tone. And it's not because it really makes the song stand out in any particular way, because it makes the vocals stand out even more so when it's all put together. And I noticed that right away. And then when I looked at the vocals for the chorus, I'm looking at my notes once again, I have in the chorus, the band is more of this call and response echo to the vocals, with many members of the band singing with more of the sharper and somewhat angry tone to them, but it's still very pop punk centric. And it's also a cool piece if you ask me, because it shows not only the want to break from that feeling of not being good enough and wanting to be liked by others, but wanting to break from that potential boring lifestyle that people that you think you should have to do because society says it, and being, that, and being black and blue personifies how we beat up ourselves over this feeling. It's such a cool move to have in there, especially having and being black and blue in the lyrics in there. Ooh, chef's kiss. Wait, chef's kiss. I had to put that in there.
Yeah, thanks. I really appreciate that. That's those are really cool notes. It's we try to create that. Musically speaking, I know, at least from guitar and playing with the bandmates, as we like jam on this. We like to just create that space. Sometimes things can seem cluttered, and or when things start to feel repetitive, it's like, how can we break something? But yeah, we felt that was just like a very cool way to just keep the angst. And Pete Zen, who is pretty known in the Northeast, produces for a bunch of, pretty much like every other pop punk band I talk to in the Northeast, and then some. He has his own band as well. He, produces, and he also really helped, get that to, really that angst to pop too. On top of just, being cognizant of like, the space we have as musicians to give Justin to, give that first call, and we can all, respond, strongly, between that and the producer doing producer magic. He waves his wand, and all of a sudden the track is edited and sounds like 10 times better. No, I'm kidding. He was a huge help, at least in in pushing us and making sure that like the mastering and the stuff he ran through like really helped that angst get across.
And to get that angst across is a very important thing in a song like this, because getting that angst across, it gets across more of that frustration from feeling like you're not good enough based off of, basically, maybe you're not meeting others' expectations for yourself that you put some sort of stock in, or from where I was kind of looking at from where you're not following and you're not doing as well as the highlight reel that is social media from people that you follow that you think are doing so well, when in reality you're just only seeing the top 1-2% of the things that they want to show you because, oh, this is cool, I want to show this. It shows that angst and just kind of wanting to break away from that and really get to understand who you are on the inside and really derive happiness from where you want to derive happiness from, whether it's from being the best father possible, whether it's being, the best friend possible that you can be to your friends, whether it's just making the most out of life for yourself, even if it's something where, I'm going to be honest with you, say you just want to have that 9-to-5 job, own a house, have a wife, husband, partner, whatever, have a few kids, kind of that classic American dream, and just, just enjoy life that way. If that's your definition of happiness, by God, don't let social media tell you that you shouldn't be going after that, because if that's your definition of happiness, fuck yeah, you should go for it. Are you fucking kidding me? go for it. And it just shows that, again, it brings forward that angst of wanting to break from that social media, the expectation of others, and break free from that in order to really understand what makes you happy and then go after that. We only get one shot in life. Why would you want to swing that? Why would you want, or you only get one shot at life. Why would you want to swing and hit and do what someone else wants you to do? Why go for a single? Why go for a bunt single when you can go and hit a home run?
Yeah. Why get that good night's sleep or go to a fucking rockin' show? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's one's going to be a cool story later on. And we only have one life. So it's like now or never. But yeah, that angst is definitely there.
You say with the producer magic in there, because I was going to say the producer goes bippity boppity boop, like Cinderella, and it happens. But I just came up with, if it's going to be something that's more of a rock metal tone, it's got to be bippity boppity blah.
Yep. And all that punkness just like splats right onto the screen.
And it comes forward, it's just like, ooh, I want more. And again, it's with the way that it sounds, especially with that chord, just that angst that comes across, but it's an understood angst for so many people. Again, when people hear it, I think that's where the organic reach really hits in, because it hits people on such that powerful emotion from that. They understand that, they feel that, and they feel the emotion of wanting to break free from that. So the angst absolutely connects with them. So when they hear it, they're going forward with it, and they want to listen to it more and more because they understand it. It relates to them so much, and it could potentially, and I mean also potentially and hopefully, help them break free from that and really get to know what makes them happy on the inside and go for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's crazy because, so like I mentioned, I had joined Cheer Up Dusty at one point when they had already written like a heck ton of music, all the music we've released prior to this single, was, I believe, Patty on guitar, like our current bassist, because they wrote all the songs and stuff like that. So this is the first song we wrote together as a full band, and to have this, to have like, my joint efforts with Dusty debut like this is really cool and really exciting.
No, absolutely. I mean, the way that comes out, especially this is going to be your debut band, yeah, this is definitely it. And when I kind of like wrap up the song overall, give people an overall flow of it, if people are listening, like, Kevin, what do you think about this song? Should we listen to it? Even though I'm probably sure you guys already can tell that I want you to listen to the song. Here's what I said about it. But overall, this song does something interesting in my mind. It keeps the pop punk flow every step of the way, but the verses work with more bass to start to build up the anticipation of destroying your mind with anxiety and succumbing to peer pressure. Then the chorus shows that anger and struggle against all of it. The vocals also show the whine in the verses to show that complaint and that, that you're not happiness to feel. And the echoing sentiment in the chorus that you could either be in your own echo chamber to break, or other peer pressures could be beating you up. There's many ways you can look at it as well. The bridge is fantastic to show that anxiety is also overflowing. And then the guitar solo is either you dying or you breaking free. Now that all depends upon how you are viewing the song. Either breaking free and focusing in on, finding what makes you happy and understand, or succumbing to peer pressure and, as I put it, dying in the suburban light.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. Really kind words. It's really capable for, as someone you come in and like really write something up like that. Yeah, that's cool. I want to get that. So when people ask me like, how do you describe the song? And I don't have any words to say because I'm trying to just be humble. I'll be like, I'm just going to refer to this.
Just listen to this podcast. Go to like this point in time, because I'll have it time marked as well. It's like, just go to this point in time. This is where the overall is. This is what we think is. This is where it comes in, and bing, bang, boom. Then you can figure it out. You might have to get like one of those like QR code scanners. It's like, here, just scan this. Now you get it.
Yeah,
just takes you right to that. I'm making it convenient as all hell.
It'll take you the full thing, but it'll be right at the timestamp. So once you hear it, you'll be like, wow, what did I miss out? And you'll probably start the podcast and start again.
Yeah, start at the beginning, go all the way to the end, listen to the song, get into Cheer Up Dusty. If you're not subscribed to the Chord Progression Podcast, do that, all this good kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Well, Brayan, one other question before we wrap this up, and it is, now that, Everybody Hates Me is out, I think we alluded to a little bit, but I do want to get a little bit more, of a set spot for it. So we're in March of 2022. We still have 3/4 of the year to go. What else can we expect from Cheer Up Dusty through the next 9 months, or the last 9 months, I should say, which is kind of weird to say, of 2022?
Well, yeah, that's a bunch of stuff. Yeah. So definitely see us at a good amount of shows rocking out. If you are happen to be in the Northeast area, I know like one show a month all the way up until as right now, July. May we'll have a weekender tour. So if you're in the South Jersey, Philly area, Connecticut, New York area, and then the Boston area, we'll be seeing that weekend. That'll be really cool. You're also going to definitely see some growth. There's some really cool things in the works. We're going to get back to, we talked producer magic. It's about building on things you've done right and how to grow. So we're going to go back to the producer that, we really enjoy working with. And now we've got more stuff coming in with obviously like myself and the drummer who's joined in, after like halfway through the band's like formative years. So now with a full round group, we got a lot of things coming that, hopefully will show some growth. And if you really enjoyed Everybody Hates Me, I think you're gonna be really excited for what's next. It's gonna be a lot of fun and hopefully we got a lot of more emotions to go through. So stay tuned.
We're always going through the emotions, man, but that's a lot to really make sure
all
that
the feels.
Yeah, all the feels. We're feeling it, man. We're getting emo up in here. But again, you guys are gonna be playing shows. I hope to potentially also see, all of a sudden you see the band's growth to continue to rise. All of a sudden, later in 2022, you never know. All of a sudden, be going through Instagram one day, doing some more promotion stuff. All of a sudden, I'm gonna see Cheer Up Dusty. Hey, we're playing in Chicago. I'm just gonna go. Wait, what? What?
We'll get a hat to happen one way or another.
And what day? It's like, and what day? And now where do I get tickets? And gas, yeah, who gives a shit about gas? I'm still paying that anyway. And
we'll pick you up on horse and buggy.
I forgot about the horse and buggy here. Yeah, bring me a horse. No, I'm not. Don't pick me up on a horse. I'm gonna bring my own horse and buggy. Just going through Chicago. Not even a buggy. I'm just gonna bring the horse.
Yeah, just bring the. Oh yeah, you just won, so you just ride the horse. It's fine.
I'm just one. I can ride the horse 90 miles, and all of a sudden, okay, gotta find it some grain, and now all of a sudden, now we're gonna, 3 hours later, all right, horsey, we gotta go back. He's gonna look at me like, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh, that's funny. We'll get 2 friend horses to like be parallel on the buggy. So we got 2 horsepower exactly.
We have exactly 2 horsepower. Yes. Well, Brian, as we bring this podcast to its conclusion, one thing I like to do at the end is give you a chance to say whatever you want to say, plug whatever you want to plug, promote whatever you want to promote at the end of the podcast. So, Brian, the floor is yours.
Cool. I'll use it wisely. First, obviously, follow us, Spotify, Instagram, all that stuff. At Cheer Up Dusty, it's going to be at Cheer Up Dusty for everything. Don't hesitate to send us a message, say hi, tell us you like music or anything. We're really excited to, just talk and meet people who really appreciate our music. And the final message before I go is to just don't forget to love each other. Everyone love everybody. Everybody love everybody. ELE. What is it? Will Ferrell once said that. So, smart words, smart man. Everybody love everybody. And I'll leave it off with that. Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Now it's time for me to end this podcast with this 3 things. I was gonna do something cool, but then I mess it up. Tragic. Just tragic. Okay, first things first. When it comes to Cheer Up Dusty, you guys are going to want to listen to Everybody Hates. You're going to want to check it out. You're also going to want to follow them on social media as well. You're going to want to listen to the stream music, download it, all that kind of stuff. You're not going to want to miss out on this band, especially you like pop punk or just like good music in general. I'll put it that way. If you like good music in general, check out Cheer Up Dusty. But instead of having to go and look up all this stuff yourself, again, you guys know this. I studied economics when I was in college. That was my major. So when it comes to incentives, convenience, I do know certain things about that as well. Instead of having everybody have to search this stuff up for themselves, I'm going to make it as easy as possible for you. Take a look at the description of the podcast. You'll see Find Cheer Up Dusty online. There will be labels for where you can find them. And the corresponding links will be right next to them as well. So if you just click on the link to like their stuff, share their stuff, follow their stuff, subscribe to their stuff, listen to their music, download it, buy it, pre-save anything that comes out that's new. All of it's going to be there for you. It's one click, one-stop shop. I'm going to have it all there. It's basically like a Linktree, but in the description of the podcast. So I'm taking care of it all for you. You have no excuse not to partake in this, my friends. So go and follow and like and share and subscribe, listen, download, stream, all their stuff. Got you covered. Now it's time for number 2, Brian. So number 2 usually comes when I have guests on the podcast that I absolutely enjoyed having on the podcast and had a blast with. And this promise that I make on thing number 2 has come up every time I've had a guest on the podcast because this is my favorite thing to do. And you, sir, I pretty much knew this was going to happen right from our, before we even started recording, we started talking about Banjo-Kazooie, which I'm just like, ooh, this is going to be fun. And
By the way, I might even just play that tonight, too.
Yes! And it just kept rolling and rolling and rolling. So, Brian, with thing number 2 is a promise that I'm making to you, my friend. The promise does not start out with if. If I start the promise with if, that means it might not happen. If I start this by saying when, it means that this is going to happen. We just don't know exactly the date or the time. That's still to be determined. But I like that to know that it's still going to happen. So my promise is when I get to see Cheer Up Dusty perform for the first time. So my promise to you is this. Yeah, this one. First round's on me.
Done deal.
Done.
And second one's on me.
I'll take that. I'll take that, man. Alrighty. So, Brian, on the end with this third thing, I can't end this podcast in all good conscience by saying goodbye for 3 major reasons. 1, you're going to see me continue to follow Cheer Up Dusty pretty much throughout the rest of time right now. 2, I made a promise, and I plan on keeping that promise and paying up on all my debts. So that will happen. And 3, this better not be the only time we do this on the podcast, man. I want to run this back with you again. Next time we got new music coming up from Cheer Up Dusty, we can do this all over again and keep, helping you guys grow as well. So, is this goodbye? Fuck no, it's not goodbye. That's way too final. Brian, we're ending it like this. So I'm going to say, see you later.
See you later, man. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Such a fucking blast, man. Really enjoyed this one.
Awesome. Whoa, folks, that's my review with Brian from the band Cheer Up Dusty out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Again, if you want to check them out, which I believe you should do, which I'm going to, ask you to do, implore you to do, look at the description of the podcast. It says Find Cheer Up Dusty online. You'll see all the links to their socials where you can stream their music, download music, buy their music, buy some merch, where you can connect with them, all that kind of stuff to get into Cheer Up Dusty. You're not going to want to miss out on that, so please go and do that. All the links are for the podcast for you, along with the links for the Chord Progression Podcast as well. So make sure you're, following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're very prominent on Instagram out of the 3, but we're growing everything. Also TikTok as well. Please subscribe to the podcast. We're on YouTube where you can watch these interviews, or we're on Spotify Podcast, iHeart Radio, and Amazon for your audio stream if that's the way you prefer it. And if you're already subscribed to the podcast, let me give you a thank you. Okay, you guys know I can't really sing that well. But if you're not following the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, all that stuff, I ask you to do that. And if it's your first time, welcome. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, well, I still want to thank you for watching the podcast, though, as well, because you deserve thanks as well. Also, thank you to our sponsors, Phoenix Fitness and Custom Debuts. Their links and their promo codes are in the description of the podcast as well. Do not miss out on Cheer Up Dusty. Cheer up because they got more great pop punk coming your way. So don't miss out on it. So on that note, that's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you for watching and listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one of these episodes of the Big, Healthy, and Hearty. See ya!